6 months ago, I picked up calisthenics for the first time and I was clueless. I had no idea where to start, how to start, and even do some of the most beginner exercises. Fast forward to 182 days, it's time to share with you the mistakes I made, the things I learned, and where you can expect to be within 6 months of training calisthenics. The first day of training actually took place in this exact room, and the first 3 skills that I was told to learn was L-sit, frog stand, and elbow lever. So I went to attempt the easiest skill there, the frog stand, and I actually managed to get it within a few tries. It took me around 2 days to master it in total, so if you're looking to start out, train that skill first and you'll get a nice boost and a nice feel of what it's like training calisthenics. Moving to L-sit, day 1 was an absolute nightmare. I cannot get any further than that. But with persistent core training, I accomplished it in around 7 days and mastered it in about 30. And finally, the elbow lever was actually a move that everybody online says is a beginner move. It's not a beginner move. Day 1 was awful. Oh my God. Okay, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. This was really difficult. I practiced doing this skill every day until on day 7, I still could hardly do it. For the first 30 days of my calisthenics journey, I was literally just focusing on the most basic of exercises: pull-ups, push-ups, and dips. I'll show you my progression from day 1 with all of them a bit later on in the video. For moves like the elbow lever, it was literally all about repetition and strengthening the basics with your body weight. Now don't be fooled, because this one takes time and is hard, so don't think it's easy. Go and try it right now, actually. Now with these 3 moves and the basic exercises conquered, it was time to move on to the fun skills. The handstand, the muscle up, the handstand push-up. Now the handstand is one which I practiced over and over again for 10 minutes at the start of most of my calisthenics sessions. I began by leaning against the wall and trying to push off to balance. Ah, did it again. When it came to finally being able to hold myself up on the wall, my biggest challenge was actually holding it on the grass with no support at all. On day 1, I had no idea where to start. So I practiced, and practiced. By day 7, I was actually able to hold the handstand for a little while with no support. It wasn't much, but it was progress and it was getting better. Now for some reason, the next week I tried to progress with my handstand by using calisthenics bars and everything seemed to click. Oh wow. I found it much easier on my wrist to balance on a bar than to balance using my hands, so that's what I did. Within a couple tries, I was actually able to do a nice hold. Yes, that was my best handstand hold ever. And for the second week of training, it wasn't bad at all. By day 12, I was actually getting some really good holds and finally smashed the handstand hold by using dumbbells to balance rather than my hands. I still cannot handstand by just balancing with my hands for some reason. If you guys struggle as well, try the dumbbells and I feel like you'll be a lot better at balancing. Now every skill so far has been pretty achievable within the first 30 days of training, but this is where things were about to get extremely hard. After my 30-day challenge, I continued to stick to the basics that are pull-ups, dips, and push-up variations, but this time with a weighted belt. The skills became ridiculously hard to learn due to the amount of strength you need to perform these moves, which really demotivated me. Some weeks I would literally see 0 progress in my skill progression, and sometimes I felt like I wasn't progressing anywhere. So on month 3, I stopped training skills and purely focused on really adding weight to my exercises and building an incredibly good foundation on my basic weighted exercises. On day 1, I could do 9 pull-ups and 14 dips. By day 30, I achieved 12 pull-ups and 20 dips. Now, 6 months in, I'm currently doing around 7 reps of 30kg weighted dips and 8 reps of 10kg pull-ups. I used to absolutely hate pull-ups, which is why I didn't progress as quickly, but by month 4, I made it my goal to learn that muscle up by the end of this 6-month challenge. But first, the focus was really on that handstand push-up. I can push up, I can handstand, so it can't be that hard, right? It was hard. The weighted dip really helped me with this exercise, as well as pike push-ups and wall-assisted handstand push-ups. It took around 3 months of consistently practicing those to finally get 1 rep of handstand push-up. Now I must note, I'm now 6 months in and it's still harder than ever to do a handstand push-up. I can do the odd one now and again, but it's not consistent. So I'm still properly training and it's gonna take potentially years to master that handstand push-up. But anyway, we did it, so we can tick that one off and focus on that final exercise that I've always wanted to do, the muscle up. To me, this was the coolest skill ever, and to be able to do this would complete the challenge. It took me a good 4 months to even understand the concept of how to do a muscle up and push yourself out from the bar rather than upwards like a pull-up, but it still seemed absolutely impossible. So I started out by using a big band to practice and understanding the technique, and this was when I did my first assisted muscle up. This came as a complete shock to me because as soon as I learned a couple little things and changed some stuff in my technique, I could do it. I moved my hands from facing downwards to upwards facing the ceiling, which helped me with the transition of the muscle up. I used a little block to help get my hands in place and jump into the movement rather than swing at first. Now this one probably changed everything. And I practiced outwards pull-ups like this rather than going up. Another great one is learning bar to chest pull-ups. Now at this point I thought, oh, within next week, I'm gonna be able to get rid of that band and do a muscle up, but my God, was I humbled nicely. So I just practiced and practiced and practiced for 2 weeks using the band to try and perfect that technique with the muscle up. I also did try and be a bit cocky and do a muscle up without the bands and failed. But as I continued making my way through the bands, going smaller and smaller and smaller, I finally did the muscle up, and it wasn't the cleanest thing, it wasn't the most beautiful thing ever, but I finally done it. I just did a muscle up. I just did a muscle up! Bro, honestly, if you would have told me 6 months ago, I was even trying these, getting nowhere near. I didn't understand it, I didn't get it. I would have said, this is gonna be a forever battle, this one. Am I ever gonna get it? And I flipping got it. Now these last 6 months have given me a purpose in the gym. Training calisthenics takes a lot of patience and a lot of effort, and it gets really, really frustrating. But my God, when you do those skills and you finally see progression and finally achieve what you've been working at for months, the feeling is like no other. What's there left to do now? Well, I'll see you at the year update, and hopefully by then we're gonna have a plan. Just let me know how far you are in your calisthenics journey. Any tips, let me know, that'd be absolutely great. And I hope this video helped you as a little guide to 6 months in calisthenics.